wonderful sweet baby. So today we're doing Baddies Midwest review for episode 10. So the episode pretty much started with the Mukamaka Mika of Paula as well as Dolly. The two of them had went 2 rounds before, security stepped in and pretty much stopped the chaos that was going down. Dolly for sure knows she lost because, of the way she was reacting, talking about if her finger wasn't messed up, she would have definitely gotten the pain. And then after that, Ivori decided to console Paula because, Paula was feeling like everybody was against her. So Taseki was telling Paula that she ate, and then Dolly was actually screaming to the top of her lungs that she wanted to go for another round, even though her hand was effed up at this point. So it was like, girl, please take a chill pill. So then once everything calms down, Natalie pretty much has the girls gather around, and she pretty much tells the girls that they need to start stepping it up. She pretty much tells the girls that it's not just about Mukamaka Mika-ing each other and, running fades. It's pretty much about, having some personality. So, like, when they're at the clubs to, like, pop their stuff. So, she was just saying that the girls need to really, like, step it up. So, Scotty starts popping her ish. And when she starts popping her ish, she directed it towards Emma. And Emma once again looked like the weak AB word that she is, and she really didn't even stick up for herself yet again. So Dolly starts heading towards the house, and when she starts heading towards the house, Summer and Lex are with her, and she starts yelling and screaming at Lex because she's like, y'all both should have intervened because my hand is messed up. So then afterward, Dolly tells Lex that she needs to get out of the room with her and Summer because if she's not going to stand on business when it comes down to having people's backs, then she needs to get the F out. Lex was pretty much just like, girl, I'm not leaving. I'm not getting out the room. Then the whole time, Ivori was over there in the cut looking at Lex like she was crazy. So then the girls start getting ready so then they can head to their final night at a Cleveland club. So while they're on the Sprinter, Ivori actually checks Lex and she's like, so while we were in the house, I heard a little bit of something, about you not standing on business for a situation in regards to Dolly. And Lex just sticks to the whole story of, her and Paula had their issues and then they resolved their issues or, they pretty much got in the paint with their issues already. So she didn't feel like it was a need for her to get in the field with her again. So while they were at the club, Big Lex actually gets on the mic and she's like, yeah, I'm just glad that y'all popped out for me in my city. It's Big Lex, blah, 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 popping her ish and everything like that. Then immediately right after, Ivori gets on the mic and she pops her ish talking about some, yeah, it's Big Ivori. I'm glad that y'all in my city, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's Big Ivori. It's my city, blah, 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 blah. So after the club situation, Dolly, Summer, and Lex end up linking up. And, Dolly says that she's sad that she couldn't go to the club with them. Lex actually then doubles down and is like, oh, yeah, because, the club was real lit and turned up last night, too. And Dolly says, yeah, I'm not finna get no more, Mukamakamikas until after my hand completely heals. And I'm not gonna lie, in this situation, like Lex really did piss me off a little bit because it's almost like she rubbed it in Dolly's face that she couldn't go to the club. And I'm like, girl, if you would have just stood on business and helped her out in that situation, knowing the girl's hand was fucked up, that whole like she would have been able to go to the club. But I digress. So then after Tinka and Ivori, they start catching up. And then after, the girls that are pretty much wanting to get voted off, they all start, talking about how everybody in the house wants them gone. So it was pretty much Jazz, Emma, and Paula. They all decided to speak to one another. Then after Diamond, Biggie, and Rolly link up, they were pretty much talking about who all should go home. And, Diamond was pretty much saying that she thought that Akbar should go home. So then Natalie pretty much, lines up all the girls outside and they do their little traditional who should go home type thing because not everybody's going to the next city. So then Natalie starts with the OGs that have been in the house and she asks them, who do you think should go home out of all the girls? So Diamond pretty much says that she thinks that Emma and Akbar should go home. And she pretty much tells Akbar she needs to go home because she keeps doing all that spitting. Akbar pretty much told her, well, I'm not going nowhere. Tinka pretty much doubled down and says that she thinks that Akbar should go home too. Then Biggie says that she thinks that Jazz should go home because Jazz doesn't support nobody. She said that when pretty much everybody is, doing their big ones and performing, Jazz just sits there and doesn't do nothing, and she's not turned up or anything at the clubs. The only time she's turned up is when she's performing her own songs. And Jazz was sitting there like, what, girl? I do be supporting people. What? Then Big Lex actually calls out Ivori and she says, Ivori, was you trying to be funny when you grabbed the mic and was saying that Cleveland was your city? And Ivori was like, no, I wasn't doing that. What are you talking about? Like, she tried to play dumb. After that, Natalie gathers up the OGs and they get on the PJ and they discuss out of Jazz and Emma who they think should go home. Meanwhile, the rest of the girls went on the bus and they were going to get to the bus and, go to the new house from there. While the girls are on the bus, Ivori starts yelling and screaming and pretty much talking about how, if anybody has a problem with her and, just really doing all this extra stuff, which I believe was subliminals to Big Lex. But Big Lex was sitting there like, girl, I know you're not talking to me because she didn't really even say nothing. While the girls are talking on the PJ, they talk about who should go home out of Emma and Jazz. And the girls pretty much say that they think that, Emma is probably, not turning up or doing her biggest potential because of everything that she's going through. Natalie then asks, like, what is she exactly going through? So the girls pretty much tell Natalie that, Emma has issues going on with her dad because they believe he has cancer. And, Anna makes a great point saying that, maybe she's, getting all this money to kind of help her dad with his expenses of his cancer. But then they double down and they say, but they really do actually like Jazz too. So, they're a little bit conflicted at this point and who should go home. So the girls that are on the PJ, which is the OGs, they make it to the house before the newbie girls as well as a few of the other OGs. They decide to play a prank on Ivori and Big Lex. And the prank is pretty much that they were going to put the two of them in the room together and say that they're sharing a room. When the other girls come to the house, they pretty much let Ivori and Big Lex know, like, hey, you guys have to share a room. And immediately these girls get upset. Ivori gets mad and she tells Big Lex, you have to go to another room. Big Lex is like, I'm not leaving. This is my room. So I guess we're just going to have to share a room. And then Ivori pretty much double downs and she's like, no, you're going to get up out of this room. And then that's when Anna comes in the room and is like, wait, y'all, it's just a prank. They literally pay her no mind, literal dust, and they're going at it. And the next thing you know, they start fading. And that's pretty much where the show ends. So here's my thoughts. Dolly definitely did not do her big one against Paula. Paula definitely did rock her. I kind of was a little bit upset with Big Lex and Summer for not sticking up for her. I kind of felt like if Big Lex would have stood in the paint, then, then that would have, solidified that Dolly would have, had some sort of standings. And I felt like it would have showed that they were a unit together. But I guess Big Lex was looking at it like, well, Dolly had never helped me with none of my fades with Ivori. So, I'm not going to help her with her fades. Which, I mean, at the end of the day, it's understandable. But I mean, if y'all going to all rock for each other, y'all should definitely get in the paint when it's necessary to get in the paint. Out of all the girls, I feel like Emma and Jazz definitely should both go home, but Emma for sure should go home first. And I'm hoping that Jazz is next in line, followed by Akbar and Jaden, because we need real girls on here that are actually going to do something for real. And there's just a lot of girls that are on there just wasting space. I definitely feel like Ivori was trying to be funny in this situation when Big Lex was saying it was her city. Because she knew exactly what she was doing, and she was doing that just to get under Lex's skin. I really don't know why Anna said that she was the one that switched the names on the door when we literally and clearly can see that Natalie was the one that did it. It's just giving like, everybody on the show always kisses Natalie's ass. And it's honestly annoying. From the looks of it, it definitely looks like Big Lex is going to get her tail whooped. But who knows? I'm going to tap in with the newest episode and then I'll do the review and then I'll be all caught up. So that way I could be on schedule, y'all. Overall, the episode was decent. It wasn't too good or too bad. But that's my opinion. What's yours?